All right.
We're gonna do it again.
We doing it again? We doing it again?
It wasn't on the spirit.
It wasn't on this one.
Now we're good. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Are you ready?
Yeah. Ooh. Oh.
That peaked a little bit there, but
All right.
play the intro. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Bitcade. This is Primal Target's official video game podcast. We talk about video game topics for you to listen there at home. Joining me, I don't even think I introduced myself, but in this case, I'm not going to just yet.
You're not that important anymore.
Nope, it's these guys. These are the reason why here. You catch me more enough over there on twitch.tv/primal_target. That's where you can find me. There you go. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, over here on my right, we're going to start with David.
Yep. David.
How you doing?
I'm all right.
Yeah.
Just another day.
Yeah, just another day.
Yeah.
All right, it's nothing special. Over here on the left, it's Quinn. I was waiting for you to say it.
Well, we said it in unison.
Exactly.
So it's all the better.
There we go. I had this in.
Next time you guys should plan some sort of harmony.
Oh, okay. Just try to get
Yeah.
it right there in the right octave.
Yeah.
My name is Ryan A. Moore, and like I said, this is Bitcade. We talk about video game things, just topics, just things that we want to talk about with you guys. If you have suggestions, feel free. Comment section below is open to you. Each and every month, we talk about different types of topics, and then at the end of the month, we post the full entire video. Throughout the month is every topic. So, first week gets the first topic and all that jazz. This is the month of May, and so we're going to start off with you, David. What are we going to talk about first?
I thought we could start out talking about what games that I would use the term an unexpected surprise. A game that I started playing with no expectations. Didn't really know too much about it. I just popped it in, started playing it, and really enjoyed it.
Okay.
So I figured I'd start off with I think the biggest one, the one that I've spent the most time with, for me is the Elder Scrolls series.
That was a sleeper one on you. You talk about it so much that you would expect that this would be something you liked a lot.
I will say, I guess I was late into the Elder Scrolls series. My very first one was Oblivion on the 360. I know they started on PC. I didn't have a gaming PC, so the very first one was Oblivion, and I remember buying it. I put it in. I got past the tutorial, little like prison, underground bit, and you get out into the world. And then I went to the first town, and then I got bored, and I stopped playing it for like 6 months. Then, shortly after that, was when the PlayStation Network outage happened, and the PSN.
Nice.
This was back then. I think I was playing.
So you were playing this on the Xbox, or you playing this?
Oh,
on
I'm
the
sorry.
PS3?
I meant on the PS3. I was playing this on the
All right.
PS3. My apologies. I was playing this on the PS3.
Okay.
And
Because I was like, as an Xbox fan,
yeah,
I'm like, I don't really care about PlayStation Network.
I was incorrect there. I was on the PS3.
I will call you out on it.
Yeah, no.
Don't you bring that
Go
to this
for
podcast.
And at the time, I think I was playing DC Universe Online. I think. I can't remember what I was playing at the time, but it was an online game, and I couldn't play it because the PSN was down. And so that was the only really game that I had at the time that didn't really require the internet.
Yeah, that's still an RPG.
It was Oblivion. So I was like, I'll give this another go, and I got hooked that second time. I played a different type of character. I played just because they have the base characters that you can do, and I picked an acrobat, and I really enjoyed that character, and I really enjoyed that game. It's still my favorite in the series, even though I've only played the two. The other one being Skyrim. It blew me away in that second one. Because I remember getting into it because my friends were always talking about it. Like, oh, you should play it. It's so good. It's so good. You put so much time into it. And I just, my first playthrough, I just couldn't get into it. And like I said, I literally stopped playing for like 6 months. And then the outage, and I literally played that the whole time the PSN was down.
Yeah, it fell in that nice little, just in the right moment. Because I remember, like at the time when Oblivion came out, that was
Oblivion.
Everyone talked about it because it was the first Elder Scrolls that did third person, right? Isn't that the first?
It did have a third person view, but it was the first big open world like RPG. It was like kind of the first game of its time, I would say, that goes on console, because it came out very early in the 360 PlayStation 3 console cycle. Like when the Xbox 360 and PSN or the PS3 launched, it was within, I think, the launch window. I believe. I don't know the exact date when it came out.
You're
so when I had picked it up, it had already been out for years. I remember watching my friends because those didn't come out till after I had graduated high school. And I remember going when I was in town. I was visiting my friend, and he was showing me his room in Oblivion, where he just had all of his stuff just everywhere, all over the floor, and he was like
unequipped.
No, like hundreds and hundreds of items just on the floor, weapons, armors, anything, everything's on the floor. And he goes, watch this, and he throws a spell, and it's just and the physics and everything's flying all over the place. There's like 2 frames a second, and then it freezes his console, and he's like, that's pretty cool, huh? And I'm like, sure. But yeah, like he was always trying to get me to play it, and he would always be like, here, you take the controller and make a character. And like I would get past that one opening like tutorial scene, and that would be about when I would always stop with him. And so then when I got to the point where I really was like, okay, well, what do I do now? I lost interest. But I'm glad I went back, because I really wish that I could have had like an acrobatic style character in Skyrim, because acrobatic, you can run faster than a horse. I could jump like 10 feet into the air, and I could jump like 30 feet forward, because you could get your stats. The stats were so much more like customizable and unique in Oblivion, whereas it kind of got more clumped down. I won't say dumbed down, but
more for like the console player to come in and go, I'll give this a shot.
I don't want to say like they dumbed it down for a broader audience to play it, but it kind of it feels like that with Skyrim. But just being able to just like, oh, this dude's chasing me, all right, well, I'm gone, like I remember this one fight in particular where I'm shooting, because I was like an archer and dagger, but primarily archer, and there was this canyon, or not canyon, but like there's like a road, and it like drops down to like this kind of like what's it called?
Ravine?
I guess like a ravine, like a crevice, but
a ditch.
Yeah, it's like like here's like it goes down, and like here's the road, and I'm just shooting at him. I'm just going hop, shoot, and just hopping back and forth and shooting at him.
It's like that scene from the Power Rangers. You've seen the Power Rangers movie?
The new one?
Yeah.
No, not at all.
The new one.
Is it good?
Yeah, it was pretty good. It was good.
Did you watch the original Power Rangers?
I watched it on Twitch.
Oh yeah, you did tell me that.
I was catching up on it on Twitch, and I knew who the characters were. Zordon,
Goldar.
Yeah. Anyway, moving on to Skyrim.
But
that's a made-up name. That's not a character.
No, that is.
All right, moving back.
wait, no, Zordon?
No,
No.
Goldar.
Goldar.
Yeah, no, that's the big gold ape dude.
Yeah.
Oh yes, it is.
That's
No.
freaking
I know that guy. I know the guy now. Now I know him.
With the
remember.
wings. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah,
You said you watch Power Rangers.
I watched it on Twitch. Thank you.
um,
Every time he always got on screen, they posted the little troll guy because he sounded like. Never mind. So.
but
But you're glad you went back and you took the time.
Oh,
you're like, you know what?
absolutely.
This is a great time for it. I got nothing else to play.
absolutely, because I've sunk probably more hours into Skyrim than any other single player game
you
ever.
rebought it for Xbox.
I've bought it 3 times.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There you
So, I own it on 3 different consoles. I don't own it. The only copy I don't own is a PC copy of it.
I have the PC copy.
So yeah.
But anyway,
But that I think is the big one that's had probably the biggest influence on my in my gaming history.
Yeah, but you don't like Fallout.
I don't like. I can't get into Fallout. I've tried.
Same game. It's the same.
No, I understand that. Well, like I tried playing. Like I bought the big deluxe bundle of Fallout 4 when it was on sale.
Yeah.
With like all the DLC, and I put like.
Maybe that'll be your next one. Maybe that'll be your next one to come back to. Yeah.
Once
a lot
I
of people
doubt
say
it,
that.
because once I put like 15 hours into it, and then once I found out that I can't actually do every faction's like little thing, like you have to pick one and you're basically with them, that completely turned me off to the game. If I can't do everything in like a Bethesda open world game,
Then what's the point?
it just felt very linear. I felt like I was being pushed on. Whereas Skyrim, and it's like, oh look, you go to here and you can go here and do this and be the Dragonborn, and you'd be like, no, I'm gonna go over here.
I'm doing this right now.
Yeah, and I
That's
don't
probably
know.
why you like The Witcher too, is because of the Skyrim thing. Because you can do
Yeah,
anything you want.
well, yeah. I mean, it's basically the same formula, just a different coat of paint.
Quinn, do you have a game that you were like, you slept on? You're like, nah, and then you were like, okay, took a shot.
Yeah,
for it.
I'll go with the one unaffiliated game that was just random that I just popped in and played.
Okay.
I was at SakuraCon with my friends, and we were just hanging out. We went to the video game room, and it was the retro console room, so it wasn't the normal one where it has like the Xbox Ones, the PS4s, whatever, those newer generation stuff.
Yeah.
Those
Xbox 360s and PlayStation 3s.
Yeah, the newer generations that are almost 4 years old now.
And now Scorpio's
3,
coming out
yeah.
and everything.
Yeah.
But so I went there, and of course the most, like, everyone always plays the Super Nintendo or the 64 or the Genesis and stuff like that. And then I was with my friends, and we were like, okay, well, how about we play the TurboGrafx 16? If you guys haven't heard of the TurboGrafx 16, it's just a 16-bit console that was overshadowed by the Super Nintendo.
As one of the 16-bit consoles that did.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really weird because the cartridges are like little cards that you just stick in there and then you pop it. It's really weird. It's kind of like the Vita has the little cards.
Yeah,
it's kind of like that.
Okay.
And so we chose we just played a whole bunch of random games, and they weren't actually all that bad. The graphics were fine too. And we played this one that we got hooked on. Like, we were trying to get the high scores back to back to back. And because, they only had one TurboGrafx 16, but because nobody heard of the TurboGrafx 16 or they had very little information on it, normally you would get a certain amount of time, and then when your time was over, someone had requested that station, they would take your spot. But because nobody cared about the TurboGrafx 16, we would just sit
in
there.
line
we
over
would just
and over
sit
again.
there, and then people would see the games we were playing, and they'd go, well, now we gotta play. So that's the only time where we would get booted off, is when other people would see us and they'd be like,
well, I want to play.
I want to play that. And then as soon as they got off, we'd get off. And we did that mostly on the last day of the con because there wasn't much to do on Sunday because it was only like open for 12 hours.
Do you happen to remember what game that was?
Yeah, it was called Devil's Crush. It was published by Atlas. I don't know if it was developed by them.
An Atlas game.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And there's a joke that me and my friends have before we get onto the game about how good of an experience it was, is that Atlas will publish any game so long as it has to do with demons or anything like that. Because Demon Souls was published by Atlas.
Uh-huh.
And then
Really?
Koei or
Yeah.
Tecmo, or who has Pac-Man? What is that?
Namco.
Or Namco.
Namco,
Because then
Bandai,
Namco took over out and did Dark Souls.
When Dark Souls, when
Yeah.
they went off of. Yeah,
But
the
I think it's
exclusive
funny because
PlayStation.
not Capcom, but Atlas was like, "Yo, you guys got demons in your game? We'll publish
Come on
that."
over.
And so that's what I think about this game because it's called Devil's Crush. So they're like, "Yo, we love demons over here at Atlas. If it has a demon, we don't care what it is about. We'll publish it."
It's like a Rick and Morty skit. Oh yeah, you got the thing. We want it.
And so we play it, and it's a pinball game. I don't know if you were expecting
I was not
No.
expecting
a demon pinball game. But
On a
there's-
16-bit
Yeah, on a
console
16-bit
nobody
console.
ever heard of.
It almost reminds me of that like old. You remember when you would get an old computer and it always had that like 3D pinball game in there? That's what I'm picturing right now. Is that like piece of garbage
Where
3D
you
pinball
use like
thing?
the shift
Yeah,
as
it's
a bumper
both the shifts. Yeah, yeah. You can shake it like
with the space bar.
Yeah, yeah.
and
But
so
you get penalized for that.
Yeah,
Don't do that too much.
yeah,
wait,
don't
really,
do-
you get penalized for
If
it?
you-
If you do it
tilt,
too,
yeah.
if you tilt the machine too often,
It's
in
called
the
a
game.
tilt.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's called
That's
tilt
actually
for a
really
reason.
cool.
Yeah.
And so this game, there was sadly only one stage, but I mean, considering the time period that it came out, and it was still really cool because it had like 3 tiers. It would have the bottom where if you go down the middle, you'd lose. It had the mid tier and then the high tier, and that's where you get the most points and stuff. And then there was like mini games pretty much where you fight like bosses essentially, and they have hits and points, and you gotta hit the pinball against them, and you deal damage, and you gotta explode them or defeat them, and you get more bonus points for that. And then, of course, you have bonus lives, and then you have point multipliers and stuff like that. And it was a really addictive pinball game. Actually, and one of the guys that was working there, he came over and he was like, yeah, supposedly that's one of the best, like, pinball video games of all time. And I was like, okay.
Thanks.
And yeah, we just enjoyed it a lot. My friend was like, can we go and play Devil's Crush now? Can we play the Devil's Crush?
So now you gotta buy it. What is it? Oh, it was on TurboGrafx?
Yeah, TurboGrafx.
You
Actually,
need
it's
to go
not
buy
that
a
much.
console.
It's
and then
like
you gotta...
$60 or something.
TurboGrafx
Yeah,
is?
my friend looked it up. It's not that much for a retro console because
All right, maybe we gotta.
we gotta get
for
it.
the channel.
That would be
playing
actually
it.
really unique. I don't know how many people cover the TurboGrafx 60.
Not very many. All right. Well, as a game that I have 2. One we've already talked about way too much on this show, and I'm gonna keep it really short. Breath of the Wild, Legends of Zelda Breath of the Wild was one of those games that I totally didn't think I was gonna like. I bought a Switch, and I'm like, well, I'm gonna get Binding of Isaac for now.
What's the one game you get with it?
Yeah, exactly. And Binding of Isaac wasn't out yet. It came out the next day, so I was like, all right, well then I'm gonna buy Zelda then. And then $400 later, I walked out of the store. And then I played it like everyone else did. I like it. I tried Zelda games beforehand, and there was just nothing that really grabbed me like Breath of the Wild did. And I don't know what it is about it. I think it's just the little things that happen in the game where like you can climb anything, and you can you teach yourself how to play the game, which I'm just going to leave it at kind of that because we've talked about it a lot. You can watch the other episodes. But segueing into just exactly like the other game, which I totally didn't think I would like, was Persona 4 Golden. I didn't think Persona was going to be a game that I like. I look at RPGs and specifically JRPGs, and I'm like, I don't like any of this stuff. Like Final Fantasy, don't like it. I don't know I don't know. I just never have gotten into the point where I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna play this game.
Yeah. I know for myself, when I was younger, I couldn't get into JRPGs either.
Yeah.
Like when Final Fantasy 7 came out, when those came out, I just couldn't play a JRPG. I just couldn't get into it.
Yeah, there's just something about it, and like the Western RPGs, I'd go into every once in a while, dip into. But even then, it's like, Fallout and, the Elder Scrolls series. There was never something that was standing out of, okay, it's great. I have inventory, like, cool, whatever. I don't know if when it came down to, would you consider Pokemon a JRPG?
I would.
It is Japanese
Yeah,
RPG.
yeah.
And
But I mean, like, it's kind of its own thing.
To me, it fit. To me, as somebody who doesn't play Pokemon,
Yeah.
to me, I would call it a JRPG. It
Okay.
does fit into that
the criteria.
yes.
Of, like, it checks the
Well,
boxes.
'cause
and
yes.
stuff.
Pokemon
And
is
not just because it's like, oh, it's an RPG producing, it comes out of Japan. No,
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, it's even if that was the sense, then the Demon Souls, Dark Souls series would be a JRPG.
Yeah.
But it's not
Western
It's
RPG,
the,
yeah.
Yeah,
So
'cause
I would call Pokemon a
Pokemon is
traditional
really
style
like
JRPG.
it's very similar to SMT, where you have
Yeah.
type advantages and you have the different like demons or Pokemon or whatever personas. But the only thing that separates it is that it's not overly Japanese, like the
Yeah.
Japanese style where they have like it looks like anime, like straight up anime. It's just like
Oh, I think it does. I look
well,
at that and
No, like,
I mean,
not
from the outside
traditional.
looking in,
Oh, okay,
you will
yeah.
say that, but like
Yeah.
when you're in there, and this is part of the reason why I probably like Persona, because I loved Pokemon, and so it's kind of like, I guess you could say Persona's the next step after Pokemon, because now you got like the mature version of a story that you've always looked for, that as a Pokemon fan you never get, and you probably never will, which is unfortunate. But
Pokemon After Dark.
hey, there's some times where like a good dark Pokemon story could be great.
Oh, actually, in Sun and Moon, if you haven't played that game, it's pretty good.
Okay. See, he's always wanting me to beat
Yeah.
this game, and I have no,
because
time to play
if
the game.
if you want to play this game, oh man, it's got some twisted moments. It's been out for a while now, so like
Yeah, you
everyone,
might as well wait till the Switch version comes out.
I guess, yeah. Everyone who's played the game and beaten it by now knows what I'm talking about.
But yeah, so like Persona 4, I had a Vita beforehand, and I had like the Assassin's Creed, like the white one that apparently is pretty limited to find. I had that first, and all I played on it was Uncharted Golden Abyss and MLB The Show. And after I beat Uncharted, I was like, all right, well, there's nothing else on here. Sell it. And so I sold it back to GameStop.
That's what I did. That's what I did with mine.
Yeah,
pretty much.
I regret doing that because it was the LED model, and so it looked a little better, not the OLED one. But I went back and bought another Vita specifically because I'll name drop even Greg Miller here, because he was even talking about Persona 4, and then after I got into the whole voice acting thing of, not me personally, but just knowing who people were, and then
Your boy's in it, isn't he?
but
Your
hold on. I didn't know. It was more of like I knew the voice actors were good, and so I was like, all right, I'd play, and all of a sudden they were really driving the line, and when Aaron Fitzgerald, who plays Chie, and you're kind of like, oh yeah, I like this character, and then eventually you start growing attachments to these like Yosuke and Yukiko, and then eventually Kanji gets introduced, and as soon as Kanji got introduced, I was like, oh, this guy's really good. Like, he's driving a lot. There's a lot of emotion towards it. And I'm like, wait a minute. He sounds a lot really familiar. And I looked it up, and sure enough, it's Troy Baker.
It's your boy.
So Troy Baker, he was in it. But then I was like, all right, well, that after I found out, like, all these characters were all being played by voice actors that were, these characters can really go through the screen and just connect with you without you really saying dialogue. And I like how I'm saying you, because you is you. So
You mean you as your character?
yes,
Yeah.
you is his name. But anyway,
That's his
and then
actual name
yeah,
is you.
Yes.
Nice.
So, which is very confusing. But I never experienced a game that was just so long, but over this time frame, you got these little branches of characters that you wouldn't have been. You chose to be hanging out with this person. Like, if you wanted to talk with Chie and have this relationship with Chie, you had to make time for them. And so, as opposed to, okay, it's like there's a decision in the game where you can join band or you can join acting class, right? That's the one.
Nobody likes acting.
I chose the acting one because I saw the anime, and so that was what drove me into that as well. Oh yeah, and then the fact I watched the anime first kind of ruined the story for me, but I still like it. I still love the game. But that's what brought me into that, and I kept with it, and I played on the stream, on Twitch, and that was one of those games that I thought I'd never ever like, and now it's gone to the point where Christian bought the game and actually let me borrow it so I can play Persona 5, because he's not a Persona fan, but he will play it later.
Right.
But it was really cool. So that's probably the biggest game that I was totally but then I gave it a shot and I instantly fell in love with the franchise. And you've been a Shinigami Tensei and Persona fan for longer than that, but
I like my RPG.
yeah. But I think that's all I got. I mean, did you have any more?
I had two more, but I don't want to. I mean, I'll just
I'll
name.
give you 2 minutes.
I'll
2
just
seconds.
I'll name drop one. I'll just name drop one because this was back when I had my PSP and I didn't really have anything to play on it. So I looked through the store and there was a game on there. It was a JRPG and it was called Brave Story New Traveler, and it was just
Octopath Traveler. No, I'm sure.
and it was fun. I enjoyed it. It was a very classic style turn-based JRPG. The visuals were nice. There was character combinations that you could learn and build by just using characters together. The story was, but I really sunk a lot of time into that game and I really enjoyed that. And I don't even think it's on the PSN anymore. I remember I tried to re-download
Knowing
it.
PlayStation, it's not on the PS4. I can tell you that much. So.
Because I remember when I got my hands on another PSP, I was like, oh, can I download this game off on my account? And I couldn't find it. Like it wasn't in like my. So I think they took it off for some reason. But I really like that. And then another big one for me was Mirror's Edge. I remember when it was announced, I was like, "There's no way this game is going to be awesome." And then, yeah, I know.
Where's the back? Oh, you moved it.
No, it's just hiding behind all the Mass Effect stuff.
Yeah, that's right behind there.
Yeah. I remember, seeing videos of it, and I'm like, it's just a running game, like a first-person running game. Yeah, that's kind of what I thought. And then the demo dropped. I downloaded the demo, and I was playing. Yeah, and it's just the tutorial area, and I was just running around that place for hours. And I really, really liked that game. I even liked the new one. Yes, I don't think the new one is like what they were hoping it would be, but I really enjoyed just running around. I didn't really like the whole open world thing. I wish it was more of a straighter, sort of path of a story.
I wish I could just run straight forever.
Yeah,
just like it's just a temple run,
Yeah.
like 3D temple run.
but yeah, that game really changed my view on what you can do with the first person genre, and I really enjoyed it because it was like a platforming puzzle game in first person that was really fluid. It was really fun, and I enjoyed it enough to get that edition, the one with that one. So, and I even have the messenger bag, that you got for I carry. Yeah, people always ask me, "Where'd you get that? Where'd you get that?" And yeah,
You got that for the first one or the second one?
it's for you had to pre-order the first one, and
okay.
then there was such a limited quantity of those bags that the store that I pre-ordered it from only had the one. So I got lucky and got the only, because there was two, because at the time there was still GameStop and Electronics Boutique.
Yeah, EB Games.
Yeah, EB Games, and they were technically owned by the same parent company. And I pre-ordered my game with
Rest in peace.
I pre-ordered my game with EB, but they didn't have the bags. But GameStop upstairs did get in one bag, so they went up to GameStop, grabbed
that
the
was
bag.
always weird that EB Games and GameStop are always in the same
Yeah.
building, like in the same mall. They're in the same mall.
Yeah, and so the guy literally walked upstairs, grabbed the one bag they had, and I got it.
Nice.
And
nice.
so that's why I take it to work all the time because I love it.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you put in the comment section below the game that you fell asleep on, the sleeper games that you went back and just said, hey, this actually is really, really good.
Yeah, just give it a second shot.
Yeah, you gave that second shot.